Hi, and welcome to Woodville Alliance's parenting series. Each week, we're going to provide you with a few tips and ideas on how to manage family life with COVID-19. These will be short and sweet, so you don't feel like you're being dumped with information. We'll include some resources at the end of each episode if you want to find out more. So today we're going to talk about homeschooling. So we know that due to these extraordinary times, there are more children learning from home than ever before. And suddenly you've been tasked with a much more hands-on approach to your child's education than you were probably ready for. We've been hearing from parents about how overwhelming these changes have been. And as we go into term 2, I know there's a lot of anxiety about how this is going to play out in your home, in your family. First of all, I think it's important to say that we're all in the same boat. So many parents have told us about how afraid they are of their child falling behind. So the first thing to emphasize is that you are not alone. Many of the concerns that you've shared with us, we have heard from others. And we know that this year is going to be rocky for families and children, so cut yourself some slack. Secondly, while we're going to give you some tips on how to make the most of the learning opportunities at home, I want to emphasize that your child cannot learn if you're super stressed or they are super stressed. So your first priority should be to create a safe and nurturing environment for your child. This will hopefully come as some relief because I know you already know how to do this, because this has been your mission before COVID-19 and will remain your mission. So do what you do best. Provide love, laughter, and safety for your child. Do this first, and then we can think about education. Remember, stressed brains can't learn. And this, of course, means looking after yourself and responding to any issues that may threaten the family, whether they be financial or health stresses. We're going to go into more depth about how you can look after yourself in the coming episodes, but please know that organisations like Woodville Alliance are here to help you with any issues that make family life difficult. As always, we will include information on how to get in touch with our social workers if you think that this might help you. So let's look at learning today. Often when we think of children learning, we picture children in a classroom being directed by a teacher. But this is only one part of a spectrum of learning. The spectrum of learning on the one end is very structured and adult driven. Our schools are a little bit closer to that end of the spectrum. So there are goals set by adults. For example, the goal might be learning how to read, and the activities are organized by adults. Adults choose which resources are used in them. In the reading example, the teacher may set 20 minutes of reading time and tell the children to read a certain amount of pages from a book that the teacher has already chosen. Adults as well have ways of assessing whether the learning goal has been met. For example, they may ask the child questions to make sure the child has read and understood the passage of the book that they were given. So this end of the spectrum is where adults control the learning by defining the goal, setting the activity, choosing the resources, and working out whether or not the goal has been met. The other end of the spectrum of learning, however, is unstructured, and it's driven by children. So the child decides what activity they will do. They choose the resources, and they probably don't have a particular goal in mind. For example, a child may take an interest in pretending that they're running a grocery shop. They may choose certain toys in their room and arrange them as if products on a shelf. On this end of the spectrum, the child's also solving their own problems. So in the grocery store example, the child may wish to use money in their play. So they get some paper, cut it into strips, and then draw and colour it in so it looks like cash. Also, children choose whether others can join them. For example, this child may ask a sibling or parent to play customer. They decide who joins and for what purpose. Generally, education and child development experts think that children benefit most from a balance of these elements rather than being exposed to either extreme all of the time. What you may not know about your child is they have an innate curiosity and a drive to learn about the world. And sometimes we think of children as blank slates that adults fill in with knowledge. But as our understanding of children has progressed, we've learned that children are actually little learning machines. Even though this is a stressful time, it may actually be a really wonderful time to follow your child's lead a little more and learn about this innate learning potential. When we talk about innate curiosity, we mean a natural motivation that they are born with to try different things, to find out more about areas of interest, and to solve their own problems. Children often ask adults so many questions, such as, why do we only see the stars at night? This may be a good time to set yourself the goal of actually answering as many of your child's questions as you can. One thing our world before COVID-19 lacked for our children was that unstructured time. Many children already had their days filled in with schooling and extracurricular activities, and every time slot was already accounted for by activities that were organised and facilitated by adults. And these times when your child's sporting activities have been cancelled, their dance classes and their art classes aren't happening, and they're learning from home, there is a hidden benefit for children in that they have more time to direct their own learning. And this requires us as well to look at their learning in a more flexible way. Learning is not only reading books or logging on to Google Classroom. Learning can happen anywhere, anytime. And ideally, if you can follow your child's lead and extend their curiosity with a little bit of your knowledge and direction, your child can naturally learn quite a lot. For example, your child may show an interest in an insect that they found outside. You can extend on this learning by saying, wow, can you tell me how many legs it has? Why don't we look it up together online and see if we can find out the name of this bug? From this, you can jump off to learning new words, you can learn new concepts about nature and science, you can even incorporate some numeracy. How many insects can we find together? Let's go count them. So I hope these examples bring to mind some of the things you've already been doing with your child, just to reassure you that you are helping them to grow and learn, even when you don't know it. Now, in terms of completing the formal schooling required, we will talk a little bit more about this over the coming episodes, how to structure your day, help your child manage their time and learning. But in the meantime, I want you to stop and take a breath. Remember, we're all in the same boat and you are doing your best. Every day that you create a safe, nurturing environment for your child, especially in these extremely stressful and uncertain times, you're doing your job and nailing it. We'll see you next week.